Well, Transport Secretary Mark Harper joins us now. Good morning, Mark. This boost to bus services isn't... Good morning. The boost to bus services, it isn't going to plug the gap that HS2 would have provided, really, will it?
Well, this is the first down payment on the savings from scrapping the second phase of HS2. It's £1 billion overall. £150 million is the first instalment of that to come next year across the North and the Midlands. And then across the country, we're able from next week to extend the very popular £2 bus fare cap all the way through to the end of next year, which is a real boost to people who use buses, the most popular form of public transport.
Mark, help me out. Treat me as the lay person I am. Thank you for joining us on Talk today.
Okay.
Savings, you say, on scrapping the second phase of HS2, 150 million quid. A year to go to an election. Why is it that 13 years of Tory rule, and listen, I asked this in the nicest possible way, why is it only now they've decided that HS2 is, you know, worthless, it's cost too much money, it's not going to achieve? Because if I lived in Birmingham and the North, I'd feel really angry. I'd feel like I had sort of been promised something for a long time and then been cut off at source. And if you can identify as Transport Secretary that bus services are so important, why has it taken you so long to realise that? It's just it's a softener, isn't it, because of HS2, with respect?
Well, there's two things you mentioned there. Firstly, on bus services, we've put £3.5 billion into supporting bus services since the pandemic, so we haven't just woken up to it at all. And in fact, the £2 bus fare cap came in earlier this year for 3 months. We then extended it. It was going to go back up to £2.50 from next week, and we're able now to keep it at £2 for the whole of next year using the first lot of savings from cancelling HS2. On your point about HS2 and Birmingham and so forth, we're still delivering phase 1 of the project from Euston to Birmingham, or Birmingham to Euston if you'd rather put it that way around. That's really important, and we're going to keep focused on delivering that. But the second phase of it wasn't going to have delivered any trains to Manchester until 2041. And because the costs had increased and the benefits had reduced, we thought it was better to take every penny of the £36 billion saved and redirecting into transport investment across the whole country to make sure that we deliver those benefits to people sooner and on the forms of transport they use every day. And I think those are the right priorities for the country.
Before Nick moves on, very quick question, Mark. Thank you for being so honest. Do you not think that decision should have been taken sooner?
Well, I think, look, one of the problems is that the costs have increased, but also the benefits have reduced. I think the Prime Minister and I made this decision. It's the right long-term decision. And as I said, we're reinvesting every penny of it in transport investment across the North, the Midlands and the rest of the country. And I think this bus announcement today will demonstrate to people as soon as next week, with that £2 bus fare cap staying in place, they're seeing the benefits of the decision that the Prime Minister laid out a couple of weeks ago at our party conference.
Mark, just want to move you on now to another story we've been discussing this morning. Suella Braverman later today to be meeting with Scotland Yard Chief Sir Mark Rowley regarding the chanting of Jihad over the weekend, a rally outside of the pro-Palestine march that took place. Have you seen the clip? Can I get your response to that?
I have seen the clip, and it was a disturbing clip. The police are obviously operationally independent, but the Home Secretary regularly meets the police to urge them to use the full force of the law. We want to make sure they use that, and also they feel confident in using the laws that are on the statute book about inciting hatred. That's why just the week before last, the Prime Minister had a round table with senior police officers to discuss exactly this issue. So the Home Secretary will continue her dialogue with the police, urging them to use the full force of the law to reassure people about those sorts of scenes that we saw at the weekend.
Mark, it's interesting, you said the full force of the law. One of the things that I learnt in the first hour of the show this morning was it's a bit of a question, isn't it? Does the lack of arrests with people shouting jihad at the weekend, is that because there isn't, in fact, on the statute book, the necessary laws that the police can activate, or is this rather symptomatic of a soft underbelly of the Metropolitan Police who don't want to be seen to act? There were 100,000 people at that rally. What's your thought on that?
Well, we strengthened the laws on public order policing over the last year, and there are obviously a range of laws that can be used in this issue. And as I said, one of the important things is that the police are clear about the laws that exist and the powers they've got. As I said, that's why the Prime Minister just the week before last had a roundtable with senior police officers about the laws on incitement to hatred, to make sure the police are clear about those laws. But ultimately, these are operational decisions for the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. That's right that they are operationally independent, but the Home Secretary will, as she usually does, meet with the police on a regular basis to talk about these issues. And the government's position is we want the police to use the full force of the law to be able to reassure people in our country that they can feel safe on our streets, whatever community that they're from.
And Mark, just going to move you on really quickly to get a comment on another video that circulated this weekend of a tube driver leading passengers on chants of Free Palestine. What are your thoughts on that video?
So I understand that the British Transport Police and the Transport for London are investigating that matter. Yesterday I commented that I thank the British Transport Police for their vigilance, but given that there is an ongoing police and TfL investigation, it wouldn't be right for me to comment on the specifics, I don't think, but that's why we have those organisations to look at those sorts of things and to investigate them, and I look forward to seeing the results of that investigation in due course.
Mark Harper, really appreciate your time this morning. I know you're a busy man, and please come back soon. Really appreciate it. Transport Secretary Mark
Pleasure.
Harper.
Thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure on Talk today.